What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you follow me on social or if you watch the paint booth video, you'll know that we got a Volvo. And I'm sure everyone's like, but Jared, why? You have so many vehicles. Why'd you buy another one? Let me tell you. So as y'all know, I have the Civic Type R as my daily, and it's a good car. It's a nice daily to drive, but where I work now, it's a really congested area, and I get just worried about like someone crashing in it or something. So my plan was to get a cheaper car to drive, keep miles off that, and hopefully not ruin it while I own it. So that's why we came across this. And if you're even an ounce of a car guy, you should know that this emblem right here means it's a tank. Actually, when I saw this at Marketplace and I saw it's a stick shift and it's a wagon, I was sold. I was like, I've got to get that. Then as I'm talking to the guy, he's telling me that he's the second owner of it. The person who had it from him was an older lady, and she had a stack of documents that came with it, and for the price of it, we paid $1,200 for this thing. I was like, I'm sold. Told Sydney about it, and she's like, let's get it. So we got it. It's been running really good up until a couple weeks ago when this happened. Yeah, that's supposed to come back. When that happens, you think it's either the master or the slave. It ended up being the slave because I looked under the car, I could see the fluid pouring out of the transmission, right? So I'm thinking to myself, yay, it's a slave, because I'm so used to working on Hondas, Miatas, where they have external slaves. But sadly enough, this is an internal slave, which means the transmission has to come off for me to repair it, which sucks. So with this being my new daily, I try my best to get quality parts for it, and I ordered from this company. I think it's called IP something. It's like the Volvo spot you order from. I try to get all genuine Volvo parts that I could afford. And it took a while for it to come in, but it finally came in. So now we can fix the Volvo. So now the fun part, we get to get it in the garage with no clutch. We're gonna put y'all right there. Hopefully you don't fall. Okay. We're in. No casualties. All right, so let's get all these parts unboxed. Okay. So what I have ordered is the new slave. I have a rear main seal, the release bearing, copper ring for the drain plug, and then this, which isn't part of the issue. It's kind of a part of the issue. This is a throttle cable. So the throttle cable now kind of sticks. I'll kind of show you whenever the hood's up. And then this right here is the pilot bearing snap ring, apparently. Never worked on a car with a snap ring for the pilot bearing, so that should be interesting. We are missing the pilot bearing. I was gonna have to wait like another 2 or 3 weeks for that part. They kept pushing it back on me, so I just told, take it off the order. I'll go buy one from O'Reilly's. It's all right. So, with all that being said, I haven't bought the part yet, but it's in stock at O'Reilly's. We'll get it when we need it. So like always, I'm no mechanic. I've never worked on a Volvo before. I watched a couple YouTube videos, read some forums on how to do this, so I think I kind of know what I'm doing, but at the end of the day, I don't. So hopefully this helps someone else. You can learn from the things I do wrong. But regardless, let's jump into it. Let's get this thing jacked up and start taking the transmission out. So jacking the car up. Never gotten this one up in the air before. I'm assuming we jack it up right there on the cross member. Okay, we got her all jacked up. Now we need to find the point where this goes on the pinch weld. And if you look under here, there's an arrow that points directly where it's supposed to go. It doesn't even look like it's jacked up. But we're jacked up. So next, when you get the rims off, to get the lug nuts, we just peel this little dude off. Oh, man, that hurt a little bit. Gross. So now we're gonna hit it with that and get it off. Woo! Oh yeah, this is my first European car. They use these stupid things. So let's get the rest of these off. Get this hood open. And there's the powerful i5. So next, we need to get the battery off. Always, before you work on a car, disconnect the battery. Apparently, the Volvo has this little thing that holds the battery in. Take it out. You slide the battery, and then you can pull it out. Bam. So, let's get the terminals off. Oh, it's a heavy son of a bitch. Ugh. Next step is we gotta remove this whole assembly and this tube. Looks like our filter has been replaced recently. Put that down there. And then for this, it's just one little spot right there. And then you just pull up on it, and then it goes in this hole right there. So you just push out and you get it off. It's connected right here. And then this metal pipe goes right to that little nipple. Mine broke, so we're gonna have to figure that out later. So we got that off. Well, I took the tube off that goes right there, and damn it. Apparently this thing is falling apart, so more stuff we gotta buy probably. Next thing, we're gonna remove the distributor and then the rotor inside of it, just so we don't break anything. You know, it helps if you're not like facing the camera, right? There we go. Pro tip is to take a picture of your plug wires so you can put it back together later on. Oh, the joys of working on cars. This little thing just took me like fucking 45 minutes to get out. I tried this little screwdriver, I tried this little screwdriver, and I finally got fed up and got one of my old ones and then ground the tip down really fine, and finally was able to get this loose. And in reference, that's it right there. You can kind of see my screen. It's like up under this, I think it's an ABS module. You can't see what you're prying on. Like the most idiotic design. Like I understand the premise of it, but man, if it's just a little crusty, that thing is hard as hell to get off. And it makes it even harder when you can't see where you're going. So, rant over, onto the next thing. The reason why I was removing that is because this line comes through here and then goes to the slave, which is behind all that. And I'm trying to remove this, so that was part of it. I need to remove it right there and for right there so we can take it up as a unit. Much easier getting that guy out, which is that little dude right there. It did go flying, but we found it. So we got both clips. All right, on to the next thing. Oh, crap. Okay, there we go. So, this thing, I don't know what the hell it is. It had a vacuum line going to it and then a plug. So that's interesting. It looks like we can remove this and like just pull it out of the way. There's a plug here, plug right there, and then I'm guessing this maybe the reverse sensor, which was right there. Already took that off, so I'm gonna unplug it there. Got a couple more plugs. I think right here, right there, then two right here. And it looks like this, it goes to the fuel injectors. There's no plug, so we'll just kind of like bend it over this way. Hopefully don't damage any wires, but that should get that out of the way, and then we should just have heater hoses. So I went ahead and got all the injectors off, and I've got everything pushed over here to the side. So now we freed up a lot of space. The next thing was the radiator hose, and then this hose right here, which went down to whatever this thing is down here. See a little hose? There's like a pump or something. And then that goes to this little guy right here, which is connected on the manifold, I think. I don't know, I can't really tell. But yeah, it ripped. As I expected. I expect a lot of these things to just fall apart since this car has got so many miles on it. So just add to the list of things we probably need to buy. With that being said, all this wire loom has came off a lot of this stuff, so I'm probably just gonna have to rewrap it before it goes back on. So next we'll get the radiator hose off, the heater hose, and I think that should be it. I think that should be everything out of our way, hopefully. So we'll find out. All right, radiator hose out, heater hose out. Man, look at this hose clamp. It's like the weirdest shit they put on this. And also, this is like a quick disconnect. Very smart, though. Volvo's very intelligent company. It's sad that they are Chinese owned now and their cars are probably shit. But regardless, so what we have left is that little speed sensor right here. I got to remove the linkages, and then I have to remove this linkage arm itself. And that should be everything on top. All right, so decided to take the starter off because that was the next thing. Also got that sensor off that goes right there. So what we have left up here should be the linkages and then the bolts. And then anything that might be like connected, like that right there that I just saw. So we'll do one more once over after we do all that, then we move to that. So we got the front torque mount off, which is right here in this area, and then there's 2 bolts on the transmission that were a pain in the ass to get, but thankfully we got it out. Also, it's pretty interesting, they use 14mm bolts. I'm so used to like Hondas and Miatas with 17mm trans bolts, so interesting. Next, we got the axle nuts off. We had a casualty. Sadly, I know better than do this, but this was broken because I think we did the same thing with the Honda, broken on the axle nuts. But like always, the Milwaukee got it off. I should have just used this at the beginning. I don't know why I always revert to the old tools. Also, leave me alone about the chromies. Also removed all the top trans bolts. So the last thing we need to remove is the rear T-bracket. So there's a bolt right there, and I think there's 2 more in the back that I can't really see right now. Orion. Hey. Hey. We got the bestest boy out here, always helping me out. So we just got this out. Apparently this thing just like chills back in there. Oh, my light's in the way. It's like a little nub. Right there. Anyways. So yeah, it just chills back there on that little nub. Interesting. Last thing we gotta do, get these axles out, and there's a couple more bolts at the bottom of the transmission gotta get, and we should be good to go. Axles are out. We also jumped a little bit and already started removing it. I'll rip my pants more. So the process on this is pretty interesting. You're dropping the subframe just enough to get the trans to this little window. The video I watched kind of didn't really talk about it after disconnecting everything. So I had to remove all the brake caliper and knuckle and stuff while it was down. That was kind of a pain, but I'm disconnected from the engine fully, so we should be able to get it out through this window. And that is our issue right there. This little guy, looks like you can see right there where the boot busted. So it looks like it's just 2 10 mils, and we should be able to get it out. Also, all this little shit in here is very interesting. Looks like bugs or dust or some shit, I don't know. So might have to go ahead and remove the clutch and get it redone too while we're at it. Clutch is out. Doesn't look too bad. Might as well get it refreshed at Tennessee Clutch while it's out. Then we got to take the flywheel off, and it has these triple square bolts, which I've never seen in my life. So after 2 trips to O'Reilly's, we got the right ones. It is a 12 mil, which is this guy right here. So let's get the flywheel off. We just don't want you feeding, man. All right, flywheel is out. The rear main is not leaking. I really don't want to touch it, but might as well since we're in here. There's supposed to be a pilot bearing, but I don't fucking see one. There's supposed to be this, apparently, which is a pilot bearing snap ring, but I don't see a snap ring here. So we're just going to leave the pilot bearing situation alone. Just do the rear main. And the, what is this, the output shaft seal, or input shaft seal, looks bad. So I might go get that from O'Reilly's while we're getting the clutch done. So we got the clutch back from Tennessee Clutch, all ready to go, put back in. Got the flywheel done as well. So update on the input shaft seal, I can't get that for like 2 weeks. So we're just gonna leave it alone. Put down in the comments if you think that thing will leak anytime soon. Also, I really, again, don't want to replace this. I was looking through the documents for this whole car, and I think that's been done in the past 30,000 miles. But then again, they said the slave was done too, and that slave does not look like it was done 30,000 miles ago. I think we're gonna go ahead and do this rear main, but I wanna know if you're working on this, are you haggard enough to not do the rear main seal? Let me know in the comments as well. Got the old one out, kind of fought me. Got the new one all oiled up. Make sure you do this when you're doing a main seal, it just makes it a little bit easier. Now to put it on. All right, we got her all in. When you're putting a new seal in, you can kind of use the old seal to tap it in. You just kind of tap around the edges. I kind of mangled this one up, so I was just kind of using the one that's round and just walked it around. Just tapping it slowly, be patient. Just make sure it sits flush all the way around, and you should be good. Hopefully this doesn't leak. Praying to God, because taking out this transmission is hell, but we'll see. Time to put on the flywheel, clutch, and everything, and throw the bad boy back in. Flywheel's all bolted up, and it's only 33 foot-pounds, so I thought that was pretty low too. Anyways, time to put the clutch on. Almost forgot to show me replacing this, because this is the whole reason we are doing this. Slave cylinder. So slave cylinder is on. Transmission is in. Subframe is bolted up now. After like an hour and a half of fighting that little dude down there, we finally got it in. The upper part of the steering would not go into the splines. I don't know what was going on. I put some grease on it finally, and then hammered it a little bit, and it finally walked its way down, and then I had to put the bolt in and then lightly tap it in with an extension from this side over here, and it finally popped through, and I tightened it down, and we're never gonna look at it again. But I am done for the night. I kind of moved everything into little piles, and then I am sweeping the floor, so tomorrow when I come in here, we can get right to work. Just pro tips while working on stuff, so when you come back the next day, there's not a disaster, and then you get overwhelmed. Ask me how I know. All right, so we're back out here. We have gotten a lot of things put together. Just had to put the camera down and get to work. We got the front and rear motor mounts on. We've got all this back together with the axles in, same for the other side. Now I'm moving on to getting this wiring all cleaned up. So I took all of the little doohickeys that were still left on there. What I'm gonna do now is first wrap it with this guy, and then we'll wrap it with this guy. So this allows it to not leave the sticky residue over time if you ever have to take it apart from this. So let's get this all cleaned up. Oh, I got you here. Still got plenty of these, 25 bucks. All right, got this one all cleaned up. Also did these two as well. They were pretty bad. Might be a little bit more I need to do, but we can start getting all the harness put back on. Wiring is all in. Thankfully I took these pictures because this really helped me through all this. We are missing, I think this is the distributor, because I went to go put it on. Apparently it's just so brittle it fell apart. So we gotta get one of these, throw the battery tray back in here, put the air box back on, then we should be ready to finally start this thing and see if I did it all right. So we went ahead, got a new cap and rotor, and we also got 2 new brake lines, the transmission fluid and radiator fluid. While we were doing all this work, I noticed that this brake line was brittle and cracking, so I went ahead and got new ones to replace it. So we finally have gotten everything on, I think. Gotten all the suspension stuff on, axle nuts tightened, got everything here good. We bled the brakes, we bled the clutch. I think we're good to finally try to start it, and hopefully everything is good. All right. That didn't sound good. All right, I guess I need to look into this. Be back. Take 2 did not go well. I got all these little vacuum lines put on that I thought didn't matter, and I was correct, that does not matter. But there's a little nipple. Let's see if we can see it. I went to get a light. There is a little nipple right there that I forgot to put a hose on. It is this hose right here. Yeah, all right, let's get this on. Now it should start up fine. All right, the hose is in. Now, let's see if the beast starts the correct way. Let's go. Okay. Cool. Yes. Let's get the wheels on. Let's go for a test drive. Well, I'd like to say we just went on a test drive. But it's still leaking. I guess I messed the slave up when putting the trans in. So, we get to do it all again. But I'm going to end it here because I'm exhausted. So, see you in the next one. And we're back. All right, so it's been about 2 weeks since this all went down, which y'all saw like literally 30 seconds ago. But we were leaking from the slave again. Kind of just shelved this car. We had a bunch of other stuff going on, and I felt really defeated, so I really didn't want to touch it for a while. But finally came back out here to get it out of my garage, get it fixed, and I started taking it apart, doing the normal thing that we did all throughout this video, and then I came to this part. I got the harness off, I drained the coolant, and so I started taking all of this off right here, which is the bleeder valve to the actual clutch. And there's like, it couples here and then here where the nipples go in and connect. Where it actually connects to the slave cylinder, which is a metal rod, that rod was loose. So I took that black part off and I was like feeling around in there trying to see if it was leaking from right there, and I just barely knocked it and it started coming loose with my hand. I was like, oh man, that's gotta be the issue, right? So I took it all the way off, checked out the threads, make sure everything's right. I also took some more pictures inside. I didn't see any leaks, so I put it back on, cranked it down. I left the boot off so I can see inside there, make sure everything's good, make sure nothing's leaking. And then me and Sydney bled the clutch again, got it working properly, put the phone back in there, make sure everything was good, and then I stress tested. So I pumped that clutch for like 5 minutes straight, like non-stop. There's no puddle underneath, it's dry as a bone. So under the car, this mount would be saturated, and also right here, where it had that little hole, would be saturated as well. Then I'd have a nice little puddle right here. So I think we are finally good. So to make this video not as long, we're going to quickly put this back together. All right, so we've got it all back together, started up. We don't have any leaks. I'm pretty sure there's still some residual brake fluid seeping out of the transmission. There's maybe like a little puddle or something in there. I sprayed some brake cleaner from the bottom weep hole, and hopefully it cleans some of it out, but we'll have to keep an eye on that for the next week or so driving this car if this test drive goes good. So I'm gonna go take a test drive, make sure everything's good, and be right back. So it's driving pretty good so far. We're about 5 minutes into the drive. We're not overheating or anything. No weird noises. I'm about to pull over at the end of this road and make sure there's no clutch fluid leaking, hopefully. So we'll see. All right, so there's no leaks. There's that residual stuff coming out, but I don't think it's actually leaking. I'm gonna take a longer drive, make sure everything is good. I'll see you back at the shop. So I just got back, it's been about an hour or so driving, went to Wendy's. Had to come back because I needed to add some radiator fluid. Apparently the Volvo has a low radiator fluid indicator, which is pretty cool. Good job, Volvo. After adding the fluid, went for more of a drive. That's when we got Wendy's. Come back, everything is good. We're dry as a bone. And now we finally have the bay open. I got the wagon back in here. We're not doing anything to it. It's just storming outside tonight and trying to protect the wagon. So the Volvo is over there in the darkness and its final resting place. Hopefully don't pull the Volvo in anymore for anything major. There's some other stuff I want to do for it, just some creature comforts. We do got to fix the AC because Tennessee summer is coming, and if you don't know anything about Tennessee summer, they're hot and humid and they suck. So definitely get some AC if this is gonna be my daily driver. So with all that being said, it's into this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.